Hi, it's Mr. S, and today's topic is about learning targets. Recently, in my videos, I've been showing goal and the overview of the video every time, just showing what will happen before I go into that topic. And this is going to be the learning target, one of the ways I show the learning target. So today's goal and the overview is to use learning target. I want you to be able to use learning target when you're learning, when you're teaching, either way. And the overview of this video I'm going to talk about the learning target. I'll talk about how effectiveness, how it's effective, how I use it, all that stuff. And I'll also add in a little thing about self-reflection. Alright, so first of all, what learning target is, it's often starts with the statement, I can. For example, I can use learning targets in my classroom. Or I can apply properties of power rule, or exponents, base things like that. Or it might be like, I can compare products using unit rate. Or something on this picture, I can graph absolute value functions, I can solve quadratic equations, things like that. It's something that's going to be the center of the lesson, and it's often, like I said, it starts with I can, and it's focusing on the student perspective. So students will say, I can do this and this and this, like that. I can graph absolute value functions. So the use in the classroom are, before the lesson you can show the learning target, LT, to have the goal in mind. So, okay, today's topic is about this, and we will do this. And the goal is this. You can do that before the lesson starts. During the lesson, you can ask, hey, make sure you have this goal in mind. Check and monitor the progress of the students. If they have a question, if they are on halfway, they got it, whatever. Just monitoring their progress. And after the lesson, the teacher can check for overall and individual progress and use the execute the next step. So, okay, so like students mastered the learning target, but there are some that are not. What's the next step? Think about that. And also you can use self-reflection after a lesson. So ask the students, well, did you get it? If not, what's the portion that you don't understand? You can ask those questions. Or if everyone is most of the students are comfortable or confident with the learning target, then you can give a assessment. So here are the topics I want to show and share along with the learning target. First one is the prior knowledge. So before the class starts, you can have this, like I said, you can show the learning target, but you can also talk about the content's prior knowledge. So what the students already have before going into the lesson, and make a connection, and then make the learning stronger. You can make the learning target into different levels instead of like I can or I cannot. You can do I've mastered it, I can do it, I can show it to peers, I can explain it to others. And the other level might be I'm not there yet, I'm on track, I think. And the third level could be like I need help, I'm lost. Things like that. Also, I want to share the Bloom's taxonomy. There are 6 levels in the Bloom's taxonomy, and it's often the verbs in this Bloom's taxonomy are used in this learning target. Say, for example, and go back a little, this use, apply, compare, not graph, maybe not, solve. Well, these graph and solve are particular in math, but use, apply, compare, create, explain, describe. But those verbs are often found in the Bloom's taxonomy. Check out that one. And last thing is a reflection, like I said before, self-reflection and assessments, especially formative assessments, where that assessment is for learning. It's going to build up on the next learning. The next step. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So let me talk about the self-reflection just a little bit. The teacher's role in general is to educate and help students learning. And one of the ways that we learn is by experiencing and making mistakes. The teachers can teach and practice doing those teaching methods, strategies, all that stuff, or modeling. And self-reflection is you experience something and then you think back, even if you succeed, think about what was good, what wasn't good, and then make it better. So as students practice self-reflection, they become better at it, things like it's going to be great. John Dewey, which is the person who have introduced this reflection, we do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. So once you experience something, like once you learn something, you stop for a moment and then you think, oh, what was the topic? What was good? What was something that you didn't understand? Keep asking yourself a question and know what you know and what you don't know, and then take an action. But sometimes some people might say, well, what if the students lie, just because they just don't want to do it, or just because they don't feel like it, It just takes a while for them to learn that lying doesn't do anything in here, because it's just self-reflection is not something that they need to show to someone. Just the teachers just have to keep the practice, just this self-reflection practice going on, and teach, and then execute the next step and have student challenge. That's all the teachers can do, I think. And at some point, the students who are lying will be like, oh, well, this self-reflection is really for me, not for like a grade or something else. It's really for themselves, whether they mastered it or not yet there. So what I have used before in the classroom is, I've been introducing the learning target before the lesson. I sometimes often use thumbs up and down to say if you got it or if you didn't get it, just to quickly self-reflect or self-monitor the student's progress, or self-monitor the progress. Now, I made a list of learning targets for the test, for a test, but what I could have done even better is to show the list at the beginning of the chapter or unit or topic and say, alright, here are the things that we will do in this chapter. By the test, I want you to be able to do these targets, able to do these things, master these targets. I had a student, even just this learning target for the test, I had a student said that list was helpful and got sent appreciation. So it would have been much stronger if I did this way, but even just for this test, they actually liked it. So I think if you haven't used this learning target in the classroom, I think it will worth it. Alright, so that's the end of this video. I hope this video was helpful. Please like, leave a comment, and subscribe my channel. And check out the other videos that I've been posting about learning in general and math videos. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.